Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. This is part 2 of the Cuisinart Grind and Brew Plus coffee maker model number, SS-GB1. So check out my part 1 first. I show you how to brew a cup of coffee, pot of coffee. I show you the K-cup side. So I've got that video got pretty long. This is a pretty extensive coffee maker. There's a lot going on with the grinder and everything. So this part 2, I'm gonna do a bold brew, show you how long that takes. The first one I did with the permanent filter, or I call it a reusable filter. In this one, I'm also going to do a paper filter. I want to see if it overflows a paper filter. I'm going to show you how to program the auto off, how long the warming plate stays on when you're done brewing. And I'm going to interrupt, and I'm going to show you the grind. I'm going to show you how fine or how the grinder works. Okay, so let's do a bold brew. I've got my water installed already. Again, I find that it's easier to pour it right here. Don't hold your pot over here, because you could get water down in here. And they say to try not get any water down around this motor where this goes. So I'm gonna try the permanent filter again. Again, this is what comes with it. I'm gonna use this permanent filter. My next one is gonna be with the basket, with the paper. So I've got this on. I've got this installed. I'm gonna shut this, make sure it clicks. I'm going to do a bowl. I'm going to empower the bowl. Now, I've got 12 tablespoons of coffee grounds in here. An easy way to remember that is just kind of dump your bag over and fill it up till it's right to the bottom of that lip. That's 12 tablespoons exactly, with the little measuring cup that comes with it, but it's also a tablespoon. So put your lid on. Again, put your grinder in. Make sure everything's this is positioned there. It's going to shoot down. So this all kind of feels right. And you can close this when it's installed correctly. Don't force this. If you can't close that, then it's not installed right. Push this down till it clicks. There it is, nice and flush. I put my water in earlier, so I'm ready to go. Again, I've got the bold button selected. Hit the carafe button. That turns the coffee maker. That tells when I press this button, that means it's going to brew on the carafe side. So now I'm going to turn it on, and it's going to start the grinder immediately. So this is all automatic. I'm going to interrupt it when it's done grinding. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. Normally I wouldn't turn that off, but I want to see the grind. So let's open this up. Okay, there's the grinds. So again, it's not the best grinder that they make. You do get some fines and some kind of inconsistencies, and it does kind of mound it on one side. But when I did the brew, it did brew pretty good. But at least there's what you're getting, and it is an automatic feature. So let's just push that back. So I'm going to show you, so say you added your coffee grounds, I'm going to show you the feature. This time when I press the button, if I press it, I gotta hit the carafe button. Let's do bold, carafe. See, every time I hit that, it starts the grinder as the very first thing. But let's say you put your own coffee grounds in here and you don't want the grinder to work, turn the grinder off. That button lights up, hit the bold button, hit the carafe button, now hit the start. Now it's just going to act like a normal coffee maker, and it's going to brew those coffee grounds that are already in there. It's not going to turn the grinder on. So we're going to time this brew, and this is the bold setting. So earlier I told you when it loses power, these things will keep their time for up to a minute, it says. I've not tried that out, but at least they do have some kind of technology in there that's going to keep the time and the auto programmed stuff for at least up to a minute. That's a little bit better than a standard coffee maker. A standard coffee maker, after 5 or 10 seconds, it loses all of its time. So typically what I'm expecting with this bold setting, I'm expecting a longer brew. And I'm already sensing that because it's starting and stopping. So it was brewing for a minute and then it kind of like stopped. And now it's starting the brew process again. So that's pretty standard for a bold setting. Now you do get a little bit better taste, I think, from a bold setting, but that's what it's doing. The temperature is going to be is the same, but it's pausing the brew process. So it'll brew for a little bit, then it stops, brews for a little bit. This generally takes 4 or 5 minutes longer, but we're going to time it and see exactly. Okay, so as I suspected, that took about 15 minutes to brew a full 12 cup pot. So yeah, about 3 to 4 minutes longer on the bold setting. So I've done a taste test earlier. You end up with about the same temperature, a really hot cup of coffee. And to me, the coffee does taste a little bit better with the bold setting, maybe just a little bit stronger. So let's see how it did with the filter basket again. There's what that looks like. Yeah, so it didn't overflow the filter basket, and it looks like it got them all pretty well saturated. Again, you do have a little bit of mounding there, not too bad though. So it looks like the water got pretty high in the filter basket. Right about to there, it looks like. So I'm really anxious to see how this does. So here I've got a conical grinder I grind my coffee with. And here's how the conical grinder, it's a little bit more expensive grinder, but it does a little bit better job of getting what you want is your coffee to be ground consistently. Now, when this was ground, we did see it was pretty fine, and some of the coffee was kind of fine, but overall, it did a pretty good job, I think. Okay, I'm going to show you how to adjust how long the warming plate stays on. So, the auto off feature of this machine. Make sure you're not brewing a pot of coffee. Make sure you're done with your coffee maker and everything is off. So what you're going to do is this button here, you're going to hold it. See how it says auto off? That's a feature of this button. So you're going to hold this button. I'm pressing it in, holding it. 2 hours. So that's the default. Now I can change that to 4 hours. That's how long the warming plate will stay on after it's done brewing a pot of coffee. And if I just let it go, then it goes and it memorizes that time. So let's go back to it. Let's change it. I can also do minutes, but I can't do more than 4 hours. So let's go back to 1 hour. Say I want to do 1 hour and 2 minutes. 1 hour and 15 minutes, Or say I can do 0, 0, 0. And the coffee maker will not stay on at all. When it's done brewing a pot of coffee, you pour your coffee and it shuts off the warming plate. So that's also a feature. Press the button again. And again, the default is 2. It flashes, lets you change it, let it just sit there and it'll memorize. So now it's memorized. Okay, so now I want to do a paper filter. So let's open this up. I've done 2 brews with this. It did a really good job with this. I'm going to use an 8 to 12 cup basket style filter. Cuisinarts a lot of times are cone shaped. These are not cone filters. These are basket style. Make sure you grab one. It can be kind of tricky. Okay, so make sure you just have one filter. We're going to lift this up. It helps that this is dry. Put this in here like this. Make sure it's hugging the walls. There. Now, we're going to close this. Okay, our paper filter's in there. I've got my coffee beans all ready to go. I've got a full 12 tablespoons in here. Got my water. It's got to pass this test. We're going to do a full 12 cup coffee and hopefully it won't overflow that filter. So we hit the carafe button. We're not going to do bold. We've already done bold. And I hit that. Again, it is pretty loud. Okay, so it's done grinding, and now it's going to brew the coffee. I haven't touched anything. I haven't opened this up. I just want to see if it overflows the filter basket with a paper filter, because it says it can do paper filters. Okay, so it's done brewing a pot of coffee, a full 12 cups with a paper filter. So I'm pretty anxious to see how it did. Oh, wow, it did really good. All right, good. It did awesome. It did not overflow the filter basket. Excellent. So I just checked if there was any coffee grounds in there. There was just a few. Just a few. Nothing too major. I poured it over a white plate. Nothing. Just a very, very minute few. So we might get just a few over on this side maybe. But nothing I would be ever too worried about. You know right away if this thing overflows the filter, then it's just disgusting and you got all kinds of coffee grounds in here, but that wasn't too bad at all. Okay, I want to do one more test. Let's grind some coffee with this grinder. Okay, I'm not going to brew any coffee, but I've got this filled up 12 tablespoons. You got to hit the carafe first. So let's grind them and then we'll pour them out on a plate. Okay, so I'm just going to hit the stop button. It's done grinding. Let's just take a look at this grind again. Here's what it looks like. Let's dump this out. So let's get this out. I just want to take a look at the grind before we brew it. Okay, so again, like I said, we did have some fines, but not bad overall. Not bad. Some of the chunkier stuff is at the bottom, which you'd expect. So as it first starts chopping the coffee beans, the bigger chunks are going to be in the bottom. And then it's going to slowly get the finer stuff at the top. Which, yeah, that's kind of what we see here. Is it the most consistent grind? No. But it's a pretty decent grind. Again, grinders themselves could cost $200. This whole coffee maker with a single serve costs $200. So there's just what you get. This is the type of grinder it is. Again, it's a blade type grinder. And it's kind of interesting. So it has to grind those and then shoot them down that little chute. Pretty interesting. So I guess maybe, yeah, it's just kind of all pretty wild how it works to me. That big V there has something to do with everything. So yeah, they've really engineered it. This has been a tried and true for them for a long time. They've had this grind and brew for a while. So I'm going to finish up here with an overall of what I think of this. I'm actually very impressed with it. I was very skeptical at first. I'm always skeptical of these grind and brews. But this one I think did a really good job. It's a big coffee maker. So it's quite a bit bigger. My next videos, I'm going to compare it to Cuisinart's other 2-in-1 coffee maker. That one's quite a bit smaller than this one, but it has a modern look to it. I'm not so concerned about the water reservoir not having a sight glass because it won't brew a K-cup if the water light is on, which tells you you're out of water. So that, to me, that didn't seem that big a deal. The K-cup side did seem a little, I don't know what I want to say, not the best, but I do think Keurig kind of brews a K-cup a little bit better, but this one wasn't bad. Pouring the water in. This is kind of a small area, and it's, we're not used to pouring the water in on the left side per se. And you want to be sure and not get water down in here. Drying this. So you're going to have to, grind and brews are more work. You're brewing a better pot of coffee, so it's going to be more work. It is definitely a better pot of coffee because you got fresh ground coffee. But making sure this is clean and dry. Dry is very important each time. Otherwise, it will get all gunked up in there if it's not dry. You've got some safety interlocks you got to make sure that are down. So it does beep at you. I know dogs don't like that a lot. My dog was kind of a little nervous about it. I did not find a way to turn the beeps off. So the K-Cup side only does, so 10, 8, 10, and 12. It doesn't do 6. I would have liked to have seen a 6 ounce on that side. So if you know all these things going in, it is a good coffee maker. I do think it's built to last. You know, these grind and brews, I thought, well, maybe they don't last, but I've gotten some older grind and brews and they still work, they still last. So Cuisinart does make a good coffee maker. This one was brand new in 2020. It looks really nice. So I'm gonna give this one a thumbs up, and I am gonna give it a just a dad sticker seal of approval. So this thing got my seal of approval. It's not the most perfect coffee maker, but you know, it does a really good job. I am an Amazon affiliate. If you do see a link in my show description, if you click on that link, it does help me out. I buy all my own coffee makers with my own money, and then I do reviews. So if you could click on those links, I do get a little bit of money from that. The products don't cost any more to you, but Amazon sees that you clicked on the link and they will help support me. Thanks everybody for watching. Next video is going to be a comparison. I'm going to do clean needles. I'm going to do if the clean, I didn't go hardly into this at all, but if this light comes on, time to clean the coffee maker side only. There's not a clean light for this side, but I am going to show you how to do vinegar on both sides. Thanks everybody for watching, and if you could, please like and subscribe.